Good morning, America, and today is May 11th, 2026, and I am here to talk to you about some of the best cookings that you could do during the Great Depression era, and I'll tell you, it is delicious food, easy food, comfort food, and it was for food that was designed to help those that were struggling when the Great Depression took place, that began in 1928 and took full effect in 1929. So, what I'm going to talk to you about today is one of the recipes that, if you were lucky, you were able to make, would be fried chicken and green fried tomatoes. Um, a lot of people struggled during the Great Depression, and as I have stated numerous times in my videos, that I believe that we are firmly in the beginning stages of a second Great Depression here in America and globally, due to the idiot in the White House. Well, anyway, my mom and my grandma during the Great Depression, they made the best fried chicken and green fried tomatoes. And they didn't call them tomatoes. They call them tomaters. And I understand the lingo of country folk. That, Southern folk, they talk a certain way. And that's just fine with me because I still understand it. And I kind of like that speech, the way they spoke, the Southern people speak. Well, anyway, so if you were lucky and you had a small piece of land with a shack, and trust me, I know what it's like to live in a shack because my dad was cheap. Even though he had money, he was still cheap. If you were lucky enough, you had a shack on a piece of land, and you had a small piece of land that had an outhouse, and you were able to raise some chickens, raise some vegetables and stuff like that. Well, some of the easiest comfort foods that they made back in the Great Depression would be green fried tomatoes, and and like I said, if you're fortunate, you would be able to afford a protein such as a chicken, and if you were even lucky or luckier, you had a milking cow. So a lot of people would do a lot of trade with one another for milk in exchange for a chicken. And if your chickens laid eggs, you wanted chicks to grow up, and so that you could produce more food for yourself and for people you can trade with back in the Great Depression. Now, one of the things that people did was, when they were fortunate to have the chickens, they did a lot of fried chicken, and they baked chicken, and they did other things. So I'm going to talk to you about the fried chicken. Now, my mom, she passed down from her generation of the Great Depression fried chicken recipes, and I'm so lucky to have it, and I actually make it. The only difference is I don't cook it in oil like she does, or she did back then. What I do is I use the air fryer, and I like it that way because I don't like cooking with a lot of oil. It splatters, it's messy, it's a bigger cleanup, and as I get older, I don't like doing all the cleanup as much. But I do grow my tomatoes, and I do fry my chicken with the recipe. Now, the recipe consists of soaking your chicken after you rinse it off, but I don't rinse off my chicken at first. I actually run a bowl of warm water. I add a little bit of white vinegar to it, and I throw the chicken in there and let it soak in there for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. And then I take it out, and then I rinse it out and clean it all out and all that stuff. And then I pat it dry. Now, today, people like throwing money away. They like to throw away money on paper towels. I have a stash of towels that I use specifically for my cooking. I purchase them when I see them on sale, or I'll go to a thrift store or a yard sale or a garage sale, and I will find towels. I come home, I wash them, I bleach them, I clean them, and I fold them up, and I put them in a container, a plastic container, and these are my cooking towels. And what I use those towels for is to pat dry my chicken after I soak them and rinse them. And once I do that, then what I do next is the magic. I put my chicken in a bowl of cold buttermilk, and I let that sit overnight in the fridge. And that buttermilk is absorbed throughout the chicken. And now, before I do that, I literally take a fork and I will literally poke the chicken pieces, and then I put them in the buttermilk, and that will permeate and go right through the chicken itself. And then in the morning when I take it out, I get the excess of the buttermilk off, and then I take the chicken. Now I take my flour, my breading. This is my breading. Now I take flour and I put it in a big bowl. And then I add my seasoning. I add some cayenne pepper. And if I like it spicy, I'll even put in some ground hot peppers. And then I will take salt and pepper, add it into that. And I will add a little chili powder to it as well, just to give it a little kick. I like spicy foods. And I also I buy jalapeno peppers, and this is something that my mom taught me back in the day of the Great Depression. She said if you take jalapeno peppers and you string them and hang them outside, they will dry out, and you can crush them into a fine pepper, a jalapeno pepper, just like salt and pepper, and you can literally shake it into whatever or onto whatever. And that's what I do, except for I kind of cheat because I don't do it by hand. I do it by my Ninja blender, and I love my Ninja blenders. They are remarkable blenders and they work great. Now, I do that because I like a little kick to my fried chicken now. And so once I do all that, I put my chicken in piece by piece and I roll it up into that. And I get a good coating of it. Then I take my chicken pieces, and then I'll take a couple of eggs and I will whip them up good, beat them in another bowl. And I will take that chicken that I just put into the flour mix and I will put it into the beaten egg. I will take that chicken back and put it into the flour and give it a second coating. Once I do that, then I will take another plate, not a bowl, but a plate, and I will take cornflakes. I know people buy panko, these panko crumb flakes and stuff like that for fried chicken and fish fry and whatever. I don't. I use cornflakes. I crumble them up really fine and on a plate, and then I'll take my chicken after the second roll in the flour, and I will put it back into the beaten egg mix, and I will literally roll it into the cornflake crumbs to give it that crunchiness. And I tell you, once I do that, I lightly coat and spray my air fryer, and I use avocado oil, and I will put it in there piece by piece. I have a large air fryer that is an 8-quart, and I can get into 6 to 8 pieces of chicken dependent on the size of the pieces. Now, I put it in there at the temperature of 385 for 24 minutes. And the air fryer, which I like, it will remind me to flip the chicken over. Now, when I do cook the chicken in the air fryer, what I do is I have it face down, especially if it's chicken breast. I face it down, uh, and so that the juices and everything go down, and then I flip it over to the top where it gets really crispy, and it's just really good. The juices just go through the whole thing, and uh, and it comes out really, really good. Air fried, depression cooked chicken. Now, the other thing I do, which I do not use the air fryer for, I actually use a pot on my stove, my gas stove. And it took me a long time to get used to using a gas stove due to my burn injuries. So, but I basically do the same thing with the green fried tomatoes, as my mom called them. And so what I did was I will take a coating of egg flour mix with seasoning in it, and I love to put garlic, onion, salt mixture on my green fried tomatoes. And I like to add some pepper. I like to add some fresh ground pepper and some chili flakes. And it just spices it up. And what I do is I put it in the egg mix, and then I put it into the flour and I coat it. And then I put it back into the egg mix, and then I give it another coating. And then I put it in a pan, a small pan that can hold about 3 slices of tomatoes at one time. And what I do is I will take it and I will put it in there once the temperature reaches 360 degrees, and I will put it in there and it will fry quick. You don't have to leave it in there too long. It's probably about 4 or 5 minutes tops to cook a green fried tomato. And I can do 3 at a time. And then I flip, it's about 3 minutes, 2.5 to 3 minutes on each side for that coating to get really crispy and crunchy. And then I take them out and put them on a baker's rack, and I let the excess oil drip out of it. I do not like cooking with oil. So when I do cook with these, I use a tall pot on my stove so it doesn't splatter all over the place. And I use it's a mesh screen ladle that I scoop the tomatoes up in, and I hold it over the oil and let a lot of the oil just drip out of it right there back into the pot. And then I'll do the next batch of 3. Sometimes, depending on the size of my pot that I'm using, I can get up to 4 to 5 tomatoes in there, green fried tomatoes. And I tell you, you want to make sure those tomatoes are firm. You don't want them mushy. And I'll tell you, that green fried tomatoes and country fried chicken soaked in buttermilk is the best Great Depression meal that you are lucky to get if you are fortunate to have chicken. And I'll tell you, cooking it is really easy. It's not hard to cook. And I always tell people in my videos, stop eating out, learn to cook. You can go on YouTube and learn to cook. It's not easy to do. And I tell you, a lot of people own air fryers. And I'll tell you, you can cook pretty much anything in an air fryer without all the fat. And it's amazing. I even changed my microwave. I no longer have a microwave. I have what's called a combo microwave, where it's not just a microwave, but it's also a convection oven built all in one. It's a 4-in-1 unit by Toshiba that I got off of Amazon. And I tell you, I love it. I think it's one of the best inventions for today. And Toshiba makes quality products. I know a lady who purchased a Toshiba TV, And she still has it, and it's 10 years old. Can you imagine that? A television lasting 10 years in today's market? Usually they die out or start breaking down within 3 to 5 years. That Toshiba lasts. Now, I have Samsung. A friend of mine, she bought a Philips. I would never recommend a Philips television. She got it at Walmart, and boy, did we have a time getting her money back. They did not want to honor it. And, it was within 2 weeks that the TV just went black. All you could hear is sound. So I started looking it up, and there was a default. There was a defect, with the television. There was a problem with it. They knew about it, and yet they were still selling it, because when we went online and looked it up, they said you have to take the back off and you have to take this wire and connect it there. Well, if they knew that there was a problem, why didn't they fix it from the get-go? You would think they would be testing these TVs out for at least 6 months before putting them on the market. Well, it taught me a lesson. Don't buy American products. They're not good any longer. Now, I remember back in the day, when they used to have RCA, Sony Trinitron televisions and stuff like that. They had all the RCA connections and everything. Those were beautiful television, the tube TVs. They were beautiful, beautiful color. They're not like today's TV. Today's TVs are very nice. I love them. They're big, they're flat, they're not as heavy. But I'll tell you, there are times I miss those televisions. But I don't miss lifting them or trying to move one. I can't do it. Now, our 75-inch Samsung television, well, that thing just weighs about, I'd say, 80 pounds. So my husband and I are still able to pick it up and lift it up and set it down if we need to move things around. It's not that terribly bad, but I do have back issues. He has back issues now. So if we need to do that, we actually hire a couple of handymen to come and help us with it. And that's fine. But the thing is, getting back to the Great Depression era cooking, country fried chicken and green fried tomatoes, as they called them back in the day. And I know they say tomatoes, but a lot of Southern folk call them tomatoes. And they are delicious, folk. They are just so delicious. And I will be doing some more stories on Great Depression meals that you can make at home today that are just as nutritious, just as delicious, and it's just that comfort food that goes down with every bite that you take. God bless all of you in America, and please, America, start buying non-perishable foods and supplies. I'm doing these videos to try and help you help yourself, because times will be getting tougher. So, talk to you next time in the next video. Bye-bye.